You're now listening to the smoothest podcast in the world, Cognac Small Talk, hosted by the connoisseur smooth, Anthony J.R.
All right, welcome back. This is Cognac Small Talk. It's a podcast series on how I personally feel we should be moving as creatives and business entrepreneurs. My next guests, I must say, first of all, really good friends with these two ladies. We don't live too far from each other, but these are two talented fashion designers, Cut and Sew, Zoey and Sweets. How are you guys doing today? Doing great. So I know you guys are familiar with the podcast, so one of the first questions I always ask is, how did you guys start drinking cognac, or when was the first time you actually started drinking cognac?
The first time I started drinking cognac was when I moved to the Bay right after college. The friends that I knew out there, one of my friends from Seattle introduced me to some people out there, and they were promoters for Hennessy. They were my only friends out there, and they promoted for Hennessy, so of course that was the only thing we drank when we went out. And that's when I was converted to being a cognac drinker, and now that's all I drink.
I think I had to be young, and it had to be probably at somebody's family's house, and somebody's uncle probably had some, and I took a sip. That's the only memory I can think of.
Yeah. All right, cheers. Well, I messed up. I was using the mic instead. All right, so first of all, how are you guys doing in general? Like, how's everything been? It feels like I haven't seen you guys in such a long time.
So close.
Nah, you guys be busy. You guys actually be, every time I see you guys are actually just, you guys are working at your house. You guys are doing all the cutting and sewing and all that good stuff.
Trying to keep busy.
Yeah.
We stay tucked in our cave. Stay sewing.
So for the people that are not familiar with you two, you guys have been doing cut and sew for a while, and you guys actually have a brand called ZoeSweets. How long have you guys been doing that?
It's going on 4 years now.
4 years? So to give the people some overview or some backlog, when did you guys meet each other, and how did you guys actually start to do this actual brand?
We met through a mutual friend, and I think you asked if I could sew something for you.
Yeah, because I didn't know how to sew at the time. And so my friend was like, oh, I know this girl. She's super creative. She knows how to sew. She'll be able to help you, and she'll probably want to do this brand with you. She's been wanting to start a clothing line. I'm like, cool, let me go talk to her. Talk to her. We hit it off. We both have the same creative vision as far as what we wanted to do.
Hey,
we really
grab the
wanted
mic.
We really wanted to put our styles together and just kind of give a lane to people to be able to express themselves, because we express ourselves through our fashion. And we always have people asking us, I like what you're wearing. Oh, where'd you get it? So blah, blah, blah. And so I really wanted to start a brand. I've always loved fashion. And meeting her and clicking with her, it just worked out.
Nice.
She's the sweets to the Zoe. Yeah, yin and yang for sure.
Yeah.
So it really just works out, and every day we just create. We push each other for sure. It's not easy. Owning a small business is never easy. Yeah. But it's really great to do it with my best friend. Just because it's somebody there who can understand the hard times with you. Yeah. And yeah, it makes it a lot better to do it with you.
And what about in your perspective? Like, would you say anything is a little bit different, if she left out any details on how you guys met?
It's different. Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah.
We just kind of clicked. Some things just feel right, and this felt right.
Yeah.
The same type of, like she said, creative, the same kind of drive, the same creative ideas. Like, she'll think of something, I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do this, and it's kind of relatively the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a good flow.
Yeah. So what would you guys say that you two, I guess, since you guys are both doing it together, are there strengths and weaknesses that you guys kind of work off with each other, or?
Definitely.
Yeah. So what would you say?
I wouldn't like pinpoint each like weakness or anything, but if like I'm struggling with something, I'm like, hey, do you think you can figure this out, or how would you sew this, or it's like lots of bouncing ideas off each other. Yeah.
Especially when I'm in a creative like rut.
Yeah.
It's so nice to have somebody there who creatively kind of thinks like you, but in a different way. Because then she can look at it in a different way and solve my problem. Yeah. So it's so nice. It's like having somebody there finish the sentence. It makes the workflow a lot easier when you get stuck. Yeah. You have somebody there to help you get through it. It's really great.
Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. That's always good, because I always feel like, even like when doing this podcast, is like sometimes I feel like if I had somebody like that was right behind the cameras and stuff, it'd make things so much easier, for me. So
smoother.
Just good. Yeah, so much smoother. Exactly. So it's cool that you guys are able to kind of like bounce off of each other and get that type of stuff done. So for people that may not know exactly what cut and sew is, because you guys specialize in cut and sew when it comes to producing garments for both men and women, what would you say that definition for you guys is?
From scratch.
From scratch.
Buy the fabric, buy the yardage, then cut it, the pattern, and sew it together.
So how does that process work when you guys have to go to the fabric stores and getting all that material to be able to work with it? Yeah.
So we like to feel what feels good on our hands. If we need stretch, how much it stretches, color, tone, all of that. And then we just make it happen. Wow. So it'll be like a vision, like say I think we're kind of the same. Like I want to make a jacket. Yeah. So I'll go there and then we'll feel the different fabrics of what feels best for the jacket and then do it that way.
So how I guess you could say, what first spawned you guys to actually want to get into designing clothes or making clothes from scratch? Because the easiest thing for people that want to get into the fashion game or the fashion industry, sometimes they start with a t-shirt. Start with this t-shirt, they start screen printing. You get a lot of people to wear your shirts and you kind of go from there. But you guys kind of took the different route and was like, we're going to do everything from scratch. We're going to really actually produce our clothes and stuff like that. What made you guys go from this route?
I think we always were, As I was younger, growing up, I think kind of towards high school, I started making my own little customizing my clothes. Yeah. My mom wasn't buying everything for me, so I would make a way creatively. I'm like, well, I can do it this way, or I wasn't getting the Gucci back then. Yeah. So, I think that's how it started for me.
And what about for you, Zoe?
It was more so like I started sewing soon after I met Sweets. Yeah. She taught me, my mom taught me the basics, and then Sweets helped me kind of really hone and get it right. Nice. like really fine tune my talents, and then also just lots and lots of practice. We're really self-taught.
Wow. You guys didn't look at anything on YouTube or anything?
Well,
YouTube helps, for sure. Yeah.
I think everybody belongs to YouTube University. But for the most part, it was like us figuring it out, and she helped me a lot with figuring it out. And then lots of practice. Making things multiple times helps you figure out what mistakes you've made, and then like after the third try, it's perfect. So, we make a lot of our own patterns. Yeah. So a lot of the clothes that we made, like this is something that I made, and the pattern is a pattern that I made. Yeah. It's not a pattern that we went and bought at the store or whatever the case. Like it's something that I cut and sew. And when we first started, I wasn't there. But after learning how to sew and really kind of getting into the craft a lot more, it helped me showcase my style a lot more, because now I'm able to go to the store and think of something and bring it to life versus trying to find that perfect dress that I see in my mind, which is really great. And it's also nice to help other people do that too, because we specialize in custom made. There's times we've made custom items for people, and it's really, really nice to and satisfying to bring somebody's creative vision to life.
Yeah. And I know you guys made that. I remember that. I actually need that vest.
I
wore it. But I checked because I was checking your website. I didn't see it on there yet. But
I'm fine tuning because for the men's, I want to be able to make it a lot more adjustable because. I'm just fine tuning. I'm getting it right. Yeah, I did not forget. I'm just fine tuning. I promise.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, do you think that now that you guys have been doing this for a while, like, what would you say are goals now for moving ZoeSweets forward?
I think getting our name out there.
Yeah.
I want to be common name.
Yeah. Do you think like Seattle is hindering that right now, or do you think that it's one of those things where
I kind of think it's like it's more everything's online nowadays, so you can't really say it's Seattle really hinders you. There's a lack of resources for us as for sewing in Seattle, but it doesn't really hinder us because all of our stuff's online.
So when you say lack of resources, do you mean like lack of like material and fabric that you guys can
LA
use
has a whole
stuff?
garment district, and we have like 3 stores here.
Okay.
Other creatives. I mean, Seattle honestly is a great city for creatives, but it's hard for us to all get together. And I mean, what you do is great with First Thursdays because it allows people to get together in all different lanes and network. But we need more of that, and it's hard for Seattle to really kind of get together. So the lack of resources there too. We've been sending our stuff out though, so you gonna start seeing us more.
Because I see that you guys are also like you guys often will use yourselves as models and like make the clothes and then model in it and kind of go about it that way. Do you guys think that that's kind of like been the best way for you guys to kind of get your stuff out there, especially it being your stuff, you wear it and kind of do it that way?
Most of our sales actually are from when we have the outfit on, if I think about it.
Yeah, because I think like even sometimes it's kind of like that whole Instagram thing is like if you can talk, it's kind of like when you post a picture of yourself, and I kind of talked about this on my last episode, but when you post a picture of yourself wearing what you made or something that you own or something, engagement is just way more higher than when you kind of like put it out that
I didn't believe it at first.
Yeah.
It's working out that way.
Yeah. So what would you say, walk me through the beginning stages, and feel free like grab yourself some more too if you want, walk me through the process of like when you get an order, when you get a custom order, whether it be a dress or something, a blouse. What is the process on when you begin to make it, looking for the fabrics and stuff, to the point when they actually get it?
And we're talking customs?
Yeah, customs.
Okay.
Customs, yeah.
Customs is a little bit different than like a normal product sold on our website. Customs is different because it's unique and it's going to be a one-of-a-kind piece.
Yep.
Typically, it's more expensive. We start our customs out at minimum of $200.
Nice.
Because a lot of time goes into it. We specifically do it to your measurements, and we do require that you get us your measurements.
Okay.
So that we can make sure it fits.
Yeah.
You're going to spend all this money. We want to make sure that it fits you to your size. This is literally a jacket made for you.
Yeah. So do you have them, real quick, I'm sorry, do you have them come to you guys and do the measurements, or you would trust them to actually send you the measurements? Okay.
Or, we would let them or send them in, like if it's an online order.
Yeah.
We'll kind of do a little consultation on email. Like sometimes we ask for a photo inspiration, but we still kind of, we're the designers.
Okay.
So we'll get a little feel about that and ask for their measurements, and we'll be specific in measurements. Like if you want something to drape here, like the length from here to here, we're very detailed in how we get our measurements, and then we kind of go buy the fabric, kind of check. I think we send them emails.
We show them the fabric.
Yeah.
Okay.
What we're gonna do, you like this and the stretch and all the feel. And then we start sewing. Send them an email, let them know it's in production.
Okay. And I also draw them out too. I usually draw out the design so that they can get some sort of visual before I actually start making it. You know, because we don't want to just rip it out. And they're like, what?
Like, what is that? Yeah.
I don't know what we talked about. I'll try first.
Have you guys ever had an issue where you guys made something custom and then it wasn't the right fitting or anything, so you had to kind of go back? Tell me about that experience.
This is where the measurement part happens. A lot of people will think of a size like standard size that they order online or whatever, and think that that's their size, but with custom measurements, it's so more detailed.
Yeah.
So they'll either forget a size or kind of like lie about a size, and it has to fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I use these numbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it really does.
And
it really does make it important for the measurements to be precise.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the main thing we require, and then we do ask like if it's like something that's a little bit looser or tighter, we ask like, do you want it to be skin tight, or do you want it to be a little bit looser? How do you like? We ask a lot of questions like, how do you like? What's your ideal fit?
Okay.
Because you're gonna want that, and then the measuring is very important. We ask for specific measuring, and then if we do have to redo it, it's not a problem. We usually redo it because we want ultimately for you to be happy.
Okay, so they don't have to pay any extra fees or anything if you have to redo it.
No, they just have to ship it back to us, and that's it. You're just paying for the shipping to get it back to us.
Yeah.
And sometimes we even pay for that. It's not even. It's not. The point is,
y'all are cool. There's some people that make you.
I mean, what we can do, we want to do. We really do create a custom online experience. It's not like you're ordering online and then you're never going to be able to talk to somebody about this item not fitting correctly.
Yeah.
We tailor it to you, so that's like the benefit. The
Nice.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and we want to ultimately get you the item.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't fit, we'll fix it. And
That's what's up. There's a lot of people that, when you think about cut to sew and stuff, they're gonna charge you more if you have to kind of like do it over, like, just because of the labor that's put into it, the time that's put into it, the effort. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
we're not doing do-overs. A whole lot of do-overs.
Yeah. That's cool though. Yeah. Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. Are there any people right now, as far as inspo or fashion designers, that you guys are kind of looking at that gives you that inspiration to keep this thing going?
I think it's all like the internet in general.
Okay, yeah.
I can't really pinpoint one designer, but just scrolling through Instagram sometimes.
Yeah.
I'll look at the way something's cut or the way it hangs off a body, and I can kind of create something off of just a little detail or get inspired off of that detail.
Nice.
I feel like I get, but I also get inspired by a lot of different things, because there'll be times like if we're going to an event, I'm making something specifically for that event, so I'm inspired by that event.
Nice.
Because Seattle, being in Seattle, it's not like
Talk
a nice, warm, sunny state.
Talk about
where
it.
you can wear whatever you want. You do have to think about the weather.
Yeah.
So we do. We're inspired by a lot of everything. I know personally, I get inspired by fabric. Like there'll be phases where I'll be like, I love sequin, and everything that I'm making is like in freaking sequin, or denim, or whatever the case. It'll be like a specific fabric where I'm obsessed with it, and I just make everything from it.
Nice.
And then I get tired and bored of that. Move on. Yeah.
Have you guys ever made something custom for Social Club? Nah, you guys don't have
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. That used to be our day to go stunt. That was one of our events to go stunt. There's not too many quality events in Seattle, so when there is a quality event, we go to it.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to hear. So, piggybacking off of when you guys were speaking about LA and Seattle and stuff, like, what would you say? Like, I guess the having the exposure to having the exposure to that type of market, like how do you feel like that will kind of make a difference for your brand, especially since you said that everything is kind of like online now? Like, do you think that it will make that much of a difference, especially because I know you guys mentioned in the past that you would potentially move out there and stuff. So
the whole fashion, there's fashion like meccas.
Yeah.
LA, New York, Paris. It's different from Seattle. It's not a lot of fashion besides like t-shirt brands, but not a lot of big fashion houses.
I've noticed that as well, especially for the people that are really into fashion. Like I think that the t-shirt stuff is cool and what people have been doing and stuff with that, but I've even noticed like when people are getting to the point where they are actually like making it, like that's the kind of stuff that has kind of like always inspired me, because I kid you not, like my mom, she can sew, but when I've tried to sew buttons on, it's the worst. It's like, yo, like how do people actually make this stuff? Like I can't even sew a button together, Like if my buttons fall off, I'm over here struggling. Like, Mom, can you help me fix this? You know what I'm saying? Okay, so I got a question. I got a question that I want to ask you guys. When you hear the term fashion is only limited by creativity, what do you guys think about when you hear that term? For me, I'll say this. You kind of think about fashion and style and how they coexist. You have style that is, is unique to yourself, and then fashion kind of relates back to like trends and what people are kind of doing during that era. But I think that term there itself is kind of like, it can be, it's a little bit subjective. It can kind of be taken however you want it to be. But from people that are fashion designers, what do you guys think, especially with trends that are like going by, and then you get to the point where it's like, oh, I got a closet filled of trendy stuff that I can't even wear anymore.
Well, with that, it said limited to creativity.
Limited to creativity. Yep.
That, like, right away just to me meant fashion is everything. Yeah, you can't really limit it because creativity is as far as the mind stretches. So, I mean, the mind can think some crazy things sometimes. So I think it's just it's vast, it's big, and it could be anything. Yeah. And I agree. I think fashion can be anything. Yeah. Because when we watch like Project Runway and they do the the unconventional materials challenge.
Tell me about that, because I don't know anything about Project Runway.
Oh, okay. It's it's a show. It's about fashion designers get to compete, and every week they have different challenges that they have to do. They have to create some sort of clothing. Out of the challenge, based off of the challenge or whatever. Okay. There's an unconventional materials challenge where they have to use whatever the judges pick, and it's materials that wouldn't be used, like it wouldn't be fabric and whatever.
One time they used, I think they had airlines, so they used like the bags that people throw up in, like seat cushions, like everything unconventional. Dope. They had candy store one before, so all the outfits were made out of candy. That's lit. So it's really like stretching their creativity of what can you do with this.
Nice. That's different,
So that's why I'm like, that's a creative right there. Fashion is everything. Fashion is whatever you can turn into a form of expression for yourself, and I think that's awesome.
So with that being said, how would you coin the difference or the distinction between what fashion is and what style is?
Fashion, I think, because I stem it back to the creativity part when I think of style. So I think the creative will push the fashion. So like you said, there is certain people that trends that'll be sitting in the closet for however long, but it's always that creative person that brings back that trend. So you're still looking at him like, oh, I remember I used to wear flare pants or whatever. They're back in style now, let me bring mine out. So it's the creative, it's the person that's that's stylish. That's gonna bring the fashion and that's how I feel.
So and what would you say now are some trends that maybe that you guys are taking part of right now in the fashion game? I know right now what I've been seeing a lot of is that people are actually getting back into wearing baggy clothes. Like the super big jeans, the super big T-shirts and stuff.
I'm falling in love with the flare pants.
The flare pants?
Yeah, the little bell-bottom pants. I'm falling in love with that for fall.
Nice. What about you?
Textures.
Denim? Yeah.
So, speaking of denim.
Talk it. Come on.
Let me tell you. Denim. We're so into denim for the fall. We're actually partnering up with one of our friends, Ramsey. He owns a shop over in Renton. Kent. Yeah, it is. It's by Kent Station. Okay. Yeah, it is. It's Constantine. Cool. It's a clothing shop, but he's a creative as well. But we're teaming up with him. He has 30,000 pairs of jeans that we are going to customize.
30,000?
30,000 pairs of jeans.
He said he'd been collecting them because they're like all different types of jeans since 1995. They bought a big shipment or something, and then so they just been sitting on products. So we're linking up with him to make some creative stuff out of denim.
So is this going to be like something where is it going to be exposed in the shape of an event, or is it going to be something that you guys are going to be
planning everything? It's going to be we're really excited actually.
That's what's up. Because right now I'm like, you guys are going to be designing maybe a couple hundred or so during the time period, and then after, now without giving too much away, when you design them, are people going to be able to purchase them during that time period? Okay.
Yeah. That's what we're doing this for, the purchase part.
That's lit. Yeah, that's lit. So tell me about the fashion shows that you guys have put on. You guys have actually done, a couple. How many has it been? Is like couple, like couple.
Like 3.
Yeah, because at first I was gonna say, I was gonna say 3, and then you guys have been a part of other people's fashion shows and stuff like that. So tell me the process about that. I talked to. So the reason why I bring that up is that, and I think in Seattle there's been just a couple of prominent fashion shows. Like, you have they have the crazy budget Bellevue Fashion Week and stuff like that. They have that type of budget. Yeah, they have that type of budget. But then you also have these other ones that probably have been doing them for years and years to come. But I've told my friends that kind of want to get into like doing, they've been doing the styling and stuff like that, and then they reach out to these bigger companies or these bigger entities that are running these fashion shows and don't get the response back or get something to be a part of that. So I tell them all the time, like, you don't see that opportunity, you got to create it, and I think that that's something major, especially in Seattle being a place where there's not a lot of opportunity in that aspect of the creativity, the fashion, all that type of stuff, So tell me the process on like doing and putting on your own fashion show, but then also being able to have those relationships to be a part of other people's fashion shows.
People honestly they reached out to us to be in their shows.
Nice.
Like strangers, people we haven't met before, but now we form relationships with.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, hey, I like what I've seen online from you guys. Can you be in our show?
Nice.
So that's kind of happened for us. But as for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
As for like our shows, we plan like themes and what we're gonna design and go from there.
Nice. And how long do you usually think it takes as far as like the planning to implementation or execution? Like a couple months or
we
like
had
2
shorter
months
time
or
limits with other fashion shows where we had like less than about a month to figure everything out. Yeah. So
how is that? Isn't that stressful?
It is stressful
because I'm like,
when you love to do something and you got all these ideas, and we sew constantly. We have a lot of products, so we're like, hey, this is what we're gonna stick to, this theme.
Jeez.
It's terrible to say. It's really terrible to say, but I work so well under pressure. I am so last minute.
Yeah.
It's so bad. So the few times that we have had those last minute fashion shows, it has pushed my creativity definitely. Like it's pushed me to another level in just my craft.
Nice.
Just because we've had a short amount of time and we've been able to make some crazy things happen. So we've had all different lanes, but I think the main thing that